Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel ANIN.EDUCATION. Before we start, don't forget subscribe, like, comment, and share. And today we learn about Andorra country. Andorra, officially the Principality of the Andorra, is a located sovereign microstate located southwestern Europe. Iberian Peninsula is western Pyrenees mountain borders by France towards and east the Spain to the southwest. Believed to have been founded by Charlemagne, Andorra was ruled by the Count of the Argels until 988 when it was changed the because Orgo. The current principally was established by the Treaty of the One. Andorra is recognized as the Principality because it is the diocese holding to two princes, the Catholic bishopric of Argent, its Catalonia, Spain, and the President of France. This luxurious country is renowned for the storage sector in the duty-free status. Andorra is part of the Catan countries. Etymology. The origin of the words Andorra is unknown, although several hypotheses have been put forward. The oldest known derivations of the words Andorra is from the Greek historian Polybius, who describes the Andosins, pre-Roman Iberian people, historical locations in the Andorra Valleys and the waging the Carthaginian army on its way to the Pyrenees during the Punic War. The words Andosini or the Andosins is probably derived from the Basque India meaning big or giant. Andorran's topology show evidence the Basque language in the region. Other theories suggest that the words Andorra may be derived from the words Anora, which include the Basque words or water. Another theory suggests the Andorra may be derived from the Arabic al-Jura, meaning the forest, when the Arabs and the more consequent the Liberian Peninsula, they valued the high Pyrenees by was struck the forest and large unmediated by Muslim due to geographical difficulties influence acquired this name. History of civilizations. Traditions hold the Carlamage granted at the Carthus the Andorras is the ancients for the their war against the Moor. The overlordships of the region passes to the local Count of Argyll and eventually in the bishop of the diocese of Argyll. In the 11th century, disputes arose between the bishop and his northern prince neighbor over Andorra. Prehistoric La Balma de la Margina. Discovery by the archaeologists in the Saint Julia de la Rola was the occurred patch around 9500 BC as the crossing point between the two sides of the Pyrenees. This unique compass provide in the perfect hunting the fishing spot for the hunter-gatherers group from the Arigi and the Segre rivers. Iberian and Romance Andorra. The inhabitants of the valley are the traditionally associated with the Liberan in the historical located in the Andorra as the Andosini or the Andosini from the 7th to the 2nd century BC. Influenced by the Equatine, Basque, and the Liberan language, the local people developed some of the recent toponism. The earliest wording and the document relative in the group that back to the 2nd century BC by the Greek writers Polybius is the histories during the Punic Wars. Some of the most important remain for this period are the rock Extors Castle, part of the old Marca Hispanica, I knew in the last X cases is the laurels in the anthem. The presence of Roman influence is recognized from the 2nd century BC, the 5th century ED, place where the greater Roman presence in the Vaun are the Camp Formal, Red Square in the Sans Julia de Loria, and the several places in the Encamp as well as the rocks the Anscre. People continues the trade, especially with the wine and the carousels with the Roman cities are of Argentines. Now, let's see the Argels are the rest of the series via the Via Roman Strata Seretana. The Visigoths and the Carolinians, the legends of the Parliament. After the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, Andorra came under Visigothic influence for the far from the kingdom of the Toledo, but near the bishoprics of Argyll. The Visigoths continues to occupy Death Valley for the 200 years, during the which time Christianity was the spread when the Muslim Empire and the East consequence of the most of the Libyan Peninsula replaces Visigothic rule. Andorra was the protected from the Chess invader by the Franks. The Middle Ages, Parige and the formations of the common principality. Before 1055-95, Andorra had now from the military protections and the Bishop of Argyll, where the counts of the Argylls wanted to reclaim the Andorran's value, had asked the Lord of the Cabot for help in protections. In the 1095, in the Lords of Cabot and the Bishop of Argyll signed under oath in the declarations of the joint sovereignty over Andorra. Arnold, the daughter of the Arnold of the Cabot, married in the Viscount in the Castable. Their daughter Ermeseda married the Counts of Foix, Roger Bernard II, and the Ermeseda shares the dominations over Andorra with the Bishop of the Argyle. 16th until 16th to 18th century. In the 1601, the Tribunal of the High Courts was established as the result of the Huguenots' revolt from the French, the Spanish liquidations for the coming from the Spain, and the customary witchcraft experience in the country due to the Protestant reformations of the Catholic reformations. Over time, the co-title and Andorra passed the kings of the Navarres after Henry III of the Navarre became king of France. He declares in the 1607 that the French had the states and the bishop of Argels becomes see of Prince of the Andorra. And Andorra continues with the same economic system as they had in the 11 to 14 the centuries with large-scale metallurgical productions. Forges a system similar to the Farga Catalana, and which the introductions for the tobacco around 1692 and the import trade. The wear of the Andorra la Vella was the sectioned by the co-prince in the 1371 and 1448 become the most important annual nations festival ever. The 19th century, the new reformations and the Andorran nations questions. After the French revolutions in the 1809, Napoleon I established the co-principality and the abolishes in the medieval dates of the French. The French first emperor annexed Catholics during the Spanish War to Independence, Europe Peninsula, and divided the regions into for the department with the Andorra as part of the district of the Puigcerdà. During the period, Andorra led medieval cultures and the institutions remained largest and changes. 20th and the 21st century, modernizations of the states and the constitutions Andorra. Andorra declares war the German Emperor during World War One, but didn't take part directly in the fighting. Some Andorra's volunteers to take part in the conflict at the parts of the front legions. Andorra remained the state in the state of war until 1948 because Andorra was not admitted in the 30 and the Versailles. Geographic. Physical geography. Due to its location is the Pyrenees, Andorra is dominated by a ridges mountain, the highest of the which in the Coma Pedrosa at the 2009 2,942 kilometers and Andorra average elevations is 1,996 meters. Andorra is bisected by three narrow sparse valleys that merge as the main tributary. The Grand Valira flows of the Centauri to Spain and the Interflores Point at 840 meters. Climates. Andorra has alpine, continental, and the oceanic climates. The binding of the altitudes, higher altitudes mean on average more so in the winter and the cooler summer in the diversity of terrain, the varying inclinations of the valley and the relations of the relief typical of the Mediterranean climates give the country as the great diversity of the microclimates that prevent the general domestic and the alpine climate. This great altitudinal diversity in the minimum and the maximum point together with the influence of the Mediterranean climates creates Andorra's Pyrenean climates. When it's come to predict precipitations, is a global model characterized by convergence and the abundant rain can be divided during spring and summer, which can last until autumn, May, June, July, and August are usually the rainy months. However, in the winter, the rains are less intense, except in the highland, which is influenced by the part facing Atlantic Europe, which explains the abundance of the snow in the Andorran mountain. The temperature regime is characterized broadly and the moderate summer and a long cold winter in keep the mountain conditions of the country. Political and law. Political. Andorra is a parliamentary country with a democratic character. His of state name of the President of France and the Bishop of Argel with the status of the joint France. The diocese of Argel is in Catalonia, Spain. Meanwhile, the head of the government is held by the Prime Minister, who is elected through general elections. Law. In the judiciary in the Andorra consists the magistrates courts, the courts of criminal law, the high courts of Andorra, and the constitutional court, and the high courts in the composed of the five judges, one appointed, one appoints by the head in the government, two by each the co-prince, and one by syndic general, and one by judges and magistrates. The High Court in the President over by members appointed by the Syndic General and judges serve 6 year term. Magistrates and the judges are appointed by the High Court as the President in the criminal courts. The High Courts also appoint member of the office in the Attorney General. The Constitutional Court in the response for the interpreting the constitutions and reviewing at a payer regarding in constitutional of the law and the duties. International relations, defense and the security. Military. Andorra has the small standing army which has historically guarded and been reorganized at the various time, but has never been institutionalized in the modern time as the standing army. The basic principle and the Andorra defense is that all men physically and mentally fit and capable and the fighting in the necessary will be called of the vehicle or the something. As the island country, Andorra has no navy. Before World War One, Andorra maintains and the army forces about 600 part-time military under the supervision of the captain and lieutenant of lieutenants del capitan. The organization was not obligated to serve outside by country and commanded by two others appointed by the French and the Bishop of Argel. Police Corps. Andorra maintains a small but modern and well-equipped domestic police force with approximately 2,000 214 police officers supported by civilization assistance. The main services provided by the court and the unformed community police, crime detections, border control, and traffic policing. There are also specialization units such as police dogs, mountain rescue, and mobs disposal team. GIPA, the Andorran's Police Interventions Group in the Catalan group, the Intervenció Policia de Andorra, GP, GIPA, is the small specialist force unit turned in the counter terrorists and rescue recovery tasks. Towards the GIPA is the very close in the style of the active military force. It is part of the police corps and not part in the Andorran military because terrorist and crisis situations are the rare threat to the country. The GIPA is usually tasked with the escorting prisoners and at others time to carry out certain police duties. Fire Brigade. The Andorra Fire Brigade, the headquarters in the Santa Coloma, operates from the world modern fire stations and has the staff approximately 125 firefighter. The surplus is the equipment with the 16 pieces of the heavy equipment, fire tenders, spiral ladders, and the specials for wheel drive vessel as the life support vessel, car and vans, and the four ambulance. Economy. Andorra traditionally has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the world. In 2009, unemployment reaches 2.9%, and has long benefits from its status as the tax haven, with revenues rises exclusively through import tariff. However, during the Europe debt crisis of the 21st century, its tourism economy suffers partly due to falling price for goods in the Spain, which weakens that is free shopping in Andorra. This led to increased employment on 1 January 2012 as the 10% business tax come into effect, followed by a 2% sales tax a years later. Democrats. Under as Ministry of the their own country, only 33% in the population holds Andorran citizens, the largest foreign nationals group in Spain. 43% with the Portuguese, 11%, and French 7% also, representing others group to remaining 6% belong to other nationalities. Language. The historical and official language is Andorra is Catalan, a member of the Romance language. The Andorran government encourages of the use of Catalan. It funds a commissions for the Catalan Toponomical is Andorra. Religions. Andorra population is the predominantly Catholic. Their patron saint is Our Lady. Exercise or Catholicism is not the official state religion. The constitutional recognition is special with the Catholic Church. Urbanizations. Urbanizations, if there are small communities and the Hindus and Bahila and approximately 1,100 Jews reside in the Andorra. Education and transport. School. Children aged 6 to 16 are legally required to attend full-time educations. Educations up to secondary level is provided free by the government. There are three school systems, each using a different primary language of the instructions. The Andorran system, Catalan speaking, the French system, French speaking, and the Spanish system, Spanish speaking. Parents might choose which the system their children will attend. All schools are built in the maintenance by the Andorran authorities, but teachers in the French and Spanish system are primarily founded by France and Spain. 39% and the Andorran children attend the Andorran system. 33% the French system and 28% the Spanish system. University of Andorra. The universities as the Andorra UDA is the state's allowance public university and the only university in the Andorra, founded in 1997, is over entry-level education in the nursing, computer science, business administrations, and educations, as well as the course in the higher professional educations. Andorra has only two graduate schools, the School of Nursing and the School of Computer Science, and later also offering the doctorates in philosophy. Virtual Learning Center. The country geographical complexity and the small student population prevent in the University of Andorra from the developing and the comprehensive academic program, and the university primarily serves as the virtual learning center. Link the university is Spain in and Prince, the University Virtual Learning Center the Estudios Virtuals over nearly 20 different undergraduate and graduate program to tourist law, Catalan, and the humanist physiology, psychology, political science, and audiovisual communications, telecommunications, engineering, and as Asia student. The center also runs the majority of the postgraduate program and the continuing education course in the for professional. Transportations. Until the 20th century, Andorra has very limited transportation links the outside world, and the country development has influenced by the physical isolation. Even today, nearest major airport in the Toulouse and the Barcelona are both 3 hours drive from Andorra. The nearest airport of the Spain and the France provide access to international flight for the choose country. The nearest airport are Perpignan, France, 1,146 kilometers from Andorra, and Liège, Spain, 160 from Andorra. The nearest major airports are Toulouse, France, 165 kilometers from Andorra, and Barcelona, Spain, 214 kilometers from Andorra. There are hourly bus service from the Barcelona airport and the Toulouse airport to Andorra. Media and telecommunications. In Andorra, fixed and mobile telephone and the internet service are the provided monopolistically by the Andorra State Telecommunications Company (SOIM), also known as Andorra Telecom (STA). The same company also manages the technical infrastructure for the national's digital radio and the television broadcasting. The first commercial radio station to the broadcast was the Radio Andorra, which was active from 1939 to 1981. On the 12th of October 1989, the General Council established radio and television as an essential public service and established and managing the Orta institutions with the broadcast from the 13 April 2000. Within the public company Radio Televisions, the Andorra RTVA, in 1990, public radio was established on top of Radio Nationals the Andorra as a native television channels. There are only the Nationals Public Televisions, Network Andorra Televisions, which was the founder in the 1995. Other televisions and the radio stations broadcast from the Spain and the France are the available tours digital terrestrial television in the Internet Protocol televisions, IPTV. Thank you for watching everyone. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and share. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.